Hi, it's Dan with Master the Morning so you own the day. Have you ever had anybody cut you some slack or give you a second chance? The other day I'm driving down the road and this person whips out in front of me, pulls right out in front of me. I had to slam on my brakes. Did I honk? Did I flip her off? Did I yell? Scowl? No, why? Because I've done that to somebody before. I know what it's like. Have you ever played a mind game on your phone where it's connect the lines without taking your finger off the screen all in one attempt? And you get almost to the end and you blow it, and so you start over and then you get it right the second time because you learn from your mistakes on the first try? You know, the Bible is so full of scriptures. Judge that you be not judged, for with that same judgment you shall be judged. How about do unto others as you would have others do unto you? How about love your neighbor as yourself, not more than, not less than, but as yourself? When we approach life in the mindset of cutting everybody some slack, what it does is it creates a moral obligation for us to always give someone a second chance. So here's my second question. Have you ever been given a second chance? And if not, maybe the reason why is because you have never given anyone else a second chance. Karma's a real deal. What goes around comes around. And I would suspect that every single one of us has had at least one experience in our life where someone cut us some slack, where someone gave us that second chance that literally changed our stars, that changed us, our life forever. I go all the way back to my senior year in high school. I'm 17 years of age, but an event that occurred when I was that age changed me forever, maybe even saved my life. You see, I got all of my attention. My identity was caught up in being an athlete. I've been my high school outstanding sophomore athlete. I played football, basketball, baseball, and ran track. I was a 9-sport letterman. I was the athlete, and I received no attention doing anything else, which meant I took my academics with a grain of salt. All I ever wanted to do was play pro baseball or pro football. That was all I ever lived for. And our basketball team, my senior year, was ranked first in the state. We were awesome. I was a point guard, got a lot of playing time, obviously. And when we made it into the state tournament, the notification came into our coaches that I was ineligible to play in the state basketball tournament because I was flunking my math class. And the head coach went ballistic. He calls me into his office and he says, "Clark, you better do whatever it takes for you to become eligible in that math class, because if you flunk, our entire team is eliminated from the state basketball tournament." And then he drills deep into my heart, into my soul. And he looks me square in the eyes and he says, "Danny, if you don't fix this, you will never be forgiven by me or your fellow teammates. This will ruin our lives forever." Can you imagine, 17-year-old, this guilt, the weight of this disappointment placed on my shoulders? What would you do? Well, luckily my uncle Dwight Clark, had his PhD in nuclear physics. He was involved in astrophysics, and he was a mathematics genius who worked for Thiokol on the Apollo space program. So I phoned him up. "Uncle Dwight, I need your help. I need you to help me pass my trigonometry college algebra class." Trigonometry the first half, college algebra the second half of the year. I went into my teacher, Mr. Tom Thorne, who was also the varsity swimming coach. And I said, "What can I do to pass this class so my basketball team stays eligible to play in the basketball tournament?" He looks at me and he says, "Danny, why should I do that for you?" He said, "Your good friend, a state champion swimmer who had the potential to break 3 swimming records, and on the relay teams that he would be swimming on, they would clearly be state champions, which would allow East High School to be state champions again." He said that this friend of mine, this champion swimmer, also was flunking a class, and he went into his English teacher and she cut him no slack. She didn't give him any opportunity or any process to improve himself, to pass the class, to get at least a D. And he was eliminated from the state swimming tournament. East High lost. They lost all 3 of his relay events and his solo events. And now, as I look back and I run into him every once in a while, that disappointment, letting down his team and our school, negatively affected him for the rest of his life. So Tom Thorham says, why should I help you? Why should I cut you some slack? And I had no answer. I just said, Mr. Thorham, I need this more than you'll ever know. You see, he didn't know how fragile my life, my spirit, my attitude was at that time in my life, because I'd been injured the 3rd game of my football season and worried if I would even get my football scholarship, having played an awesome season my junior year. And somehow, in the goodness of his heart, he said, okay, Dan, but he made it hard. He made it tough. He gave me a take-home test with 6 equations that I needed to complete and bring back on Monday. And if I passed that take-home test, he would give me a D. I would pass the class, our team would stay eligible, and we could go into the state tournament to win the state championship. So I phoned up my Uncle Dwight. I spent the entire weekend, moved into his home. And when I reported on Monday, Mr. Thorham, turns out he didn't think I could do it. And I went through every single one of the equations and solved the problem in front of him, only to have him ask me, Dan, how did you come up with that solution? And luckily I was able to explain the answer to each of those 6 equations. Reluctantly, he gave me a D. I passed the class, and the rest is history. Mr. Tom Thorham is my hero. And what did I learn from this? If this message resonates with you, may I challenge you to share it with every family member, every educator, every coach, every teammate, with every single one of your friends. Why? Because when someone cuts you slack and gives you a second chance, it automatically creates a moral obligation for me to always cut someone else some slack, and for now and forevermore, always give everybody with whom I come in contact, for every reason, a second chance.